Flames roared through a hillside in Pacific Palisades. No one was hurt and no homes were damaged. LAPD has named some of the most dangerous intersections in Los Angeles. The new secured electronic chips on credit cards are becoming more popular.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Nick Popham.
And I'm Sarah Vong.
Many Southern Californians were surprised after a bright blue light lit up the night sky. Some people wondered if the light was an aircraft, a comet, or maybe even a UFO. U.S. military officials say it was just a missile test. The light was a Trident missile that was launched by a U.S. Navy submarine off the coast of California. The light was seen as far away as Nevada and Arizona. The sighting led to numerous calls to law enforcement and lit up social media. Military officials didn't expect the light to be so bright or to have stirred up so much public reaction. The military was determined to keep the test a secret to avoid conflicts with Russia and China.
The president of the University of Missouri system has resigned over charges claiming the system is racist. President Tim Wolf's resignation came after blacks on the football team refused to play and some graduate students went on a hunger strike. The most recent incident was in late October when a swastika made of human feces was smeared on a dorm wall. It has been nearly 2 months since black students first reported that white students taunted them. Many students say the administration didn't do enough to punish or stop the racist behavior.
A Jordanian police officer opened fire at a training center, killing at least 5 people, including 2 Americans in the Jordanian capital. According to a Jordanian spokesperson, the police officer was shot and killed by troops. President Obama says authorities must determine if the motive was personal or political.
Obviously, a full investigation is taking place. We take this very seriously and will be working closely with the Jordanians to determine exactly what happened.
The police officer recently had been fired, but it is still unclear if that was the motive. The shooting took place on the 10th anniversary of the coordinated bombings at 3 Jordanian hotels, which killed about 60 people.
A brush fire has damaged a hillside in Pacific Palisades. No structures were burned and no one was hurt, but as Valley View News reporter Victor Park shows us, crews had difficulty fighting it.
Flames began burning along the hillside of the Pacific Coast Highway in Pacific Palisades just before 3 a.m. The fires began climbing up the hill, almost threatening structures. So firefighters began hosing it from the highway and on the top. What started as a half-acre brush fire grew to 7 acres. Now this brush fire appears to be relatively small, but has been at least 2 hours and crews are still having a rough time fighting it from the air and on the ground. Water drop after water drop, ground crews relied on the choppers. The steep terrain and dark conditions made it difficult for crews to get close to the flames. By sunrise, crews continued fighting under better conditions.
As the light came this morning, we were able to actually put companies on the hill, and we got a good line around the fire at this time.
Some nearby residents spent all morning watching firefighters protect their homes.
To see the bluffs up in flames is a really scary thing. But actually being here and seeing the firefighters doing their jobs and seeing the helicopters drop the water and everything gave me a lot of comfort, and a lot more comfort than if I had stayed in my bed at home.
With dry brush and the drought we're in, firefighters continue to face the danger of another fire happening. In Pacific Palisades, I'm Victor Park for Valley View News.
An Orange County pastor has been arrested for sexual assault. Sean Patrick Aday allegedly raped a number of women. The victims are mainly in their late teens and early 20s. Police started looking into him when a woman claimed that she was assaulted while Aday was a youth pastor at Grace Community Church in Lake Forest. Others have come out to say that he had sex with them while inside the church and on mission trips. Aday was in jail for a day after paying his $500,000 bail and awaits trial.
U.S. officials say they are 99.9% certain a Russian jetliner was bombed by terrorists. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson says there is tight security concerning flights from foreign airports arriving in the U.S.
I want people to know that their aviation security officials working on their behalf are continually evaluating threats, potential threats, and that we make adjustments all the time.
Metrojet Flight 9268 was heading from Egypt to Russia when it disintegrated in mid-air and crashed in the Sinai Peninsula. European investigators say the plane's cockpit voice recorder shows there was a loud noise just before the crash. The mid-air disaster killed all 224 people on board.
The Los Angeles Police Department has identified 5 of the most dangerous intersections in Los Angeles. The LAPD is taking action at these intersections to try and make them safer. Harry Abelson has more on the story.
Vermont and Santa Monica, Alvarado and Temple, and Wilshire and Alvarado are intersections the LAPD says are some of the most dangerous in Los Angeles. Pedestrians say that they have seen accidents occur at these intersections.
I've been crossing this intersection for about like a year already, and I've seen 2 or 3 accidents, one right here, twice in the middle.
LAPD Lieutenant David Ferry says cell phone use is the most common form of distraction on the streets. Many pedestrians believe both drivers and pedestrians are at fault.
A lot of times when a car won't see me crossing the street, I check to see what they're doing, and usually that person is not paying attention or they're on their phone. So it's usually the driver, but sometimes pedestrians will cross when they're not supposed to.
Cell phone use is only one of the many problems. The intersections also have signs such as this one on Temple and Alvarado where sometimes drivers can turn left and sometimes they can't. These signs often lead to drivers making illegal turns.
I think a lot of the accidents happen from like left turns because people are trying to run the intersection at a yellow while the other person's waiting to make a left, and then the other person might make the left before they run it because they don't know if they're going to stop.
The LAPD has taken action and sent out a task force where 3 to 5 officers watch over each dangerous intersection once a month. The LAPD has already noticed fewer injuries on those streets. The LAPD has named this intersection at Melrose in Vermont one of the most dangerous in Los Angeles. And despite it being common sense, they say looking both ways before entering the intersection and avoiding distractions more often are the best ways to prevent accidents from happening. In Hollywood, I'm Harry Abelson, Valley View News.
Voters in Myanmar have given an early lead to the party of opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The country has been electing members of parliament in what's been called the most free election in decades. Election officials say Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy has won 90% of seats in early returns. The nation has been ruled by a regime dominated by the military. Suu Kyi is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Obama administration officials say the success of the election will determine whether the U.S. continues to expand economic ties with Myanmar.
3 people have been shot near one of the busiest transit hubs in the United States. 1 person was killed and 2 were sent to the hospital in critical condition. The shooting happened near New York's Penn Station in Midtown Manhattan. Authorities say it occurred after an argument.
There was an argument in the McDonald's here at 498th Avenue between several individuals who were sitting having coffee when another individual with a black hoodie approached them, made some conversation, and then left. Those individuals then walked out of the McDonald's and into the subway station behind us right now.
Officials described the shooter as a heavy-set man wearing a black hoodie.
One of the biggest changes to credit cards in years is making the plastic cards smarter. Banks and retailers are switching from magnetic strip-based cards to ones with smart chips. Valley View News reporter Teresa Barrientos has more on what this means for small businesses and consumers.
Most consumers are used to swiping their credit cards, but things are changing. The reason why? Major retailers have been plagued by hackers. Back in 2013, Target was hacked. More than 40 million accounts from people who shopped at Target were made vulnerable by the attack. Consumers have been receiving new cards from the banks in the last couple of months. Other countries have used cards, such as this one, embedded with chips for decades, and now local businesses are adapting. Credit card companies are sending out millions of them, including Target. With the new chip cards, rather than swiping them, you dip them into terminals, like this one at Falafel Palace in Northridge. CSUN business management professor Lois Sheldon says the way money moves is changing.
Instead of having a magnetic stripe on the credit card that transfers the information between the merchant and the bank, we have a computer chip. And so that reduces fraud because The information is immediately encrypted. Plus, with each transaction, you have different information, so it's a dynamic environment.
This is a good thing because according to Visa, this type of fraud accounts for 2/3 of fraudulent purchases. Retailers don't have to switch to chip card readers, but if they don't, it may cost them. The owner of Falafel Palace said he was not taking any chances.
It's very good because we know that the person that have this credit card with a chip, it's legal and there is no fraud involved and everything is it's good for the business.
The only thing that it does for me is kind of protects me from fraud situations, but it kind of is really inconvenient when I'm at the store shopping because it takes a longer time to process in the cashier.
For consumers, the only thing that really changes is having to insert the cards instead of swiping. In Los Angeles, Teresa Barrientos, Valley View News.
The ground caved in at an IHOP parking lot in Mississippi, swallowing at least 15 cars. No injuries were reported. The sinkhole is about 50 feet wide and more than 600 feet long. NBC reports witnesses heard loud booms before the ground collapsed. Electricity went out in the surrounding area and the restaurant. The IHOP is in Meridian near the Alabama border and had just opened in the last few weeks.
Some coffee lovers are upset with Starbucks over changes the company has made for the holidays. They announced their seasonal red cups will no longer feature reindeer or ornaments. The coffee chain says it wants to welcome all holidays, not just Christmas. Some have started a movement with the Merry Christmas Starbucks hashtag to show their support for the Christian holiday. Those upset over the changes have even accused Starbucks of hating Jesus. But the coffee chain says it will continue to welcome all customers of all backgrounds and religions to its stores.
People throughout California are being told to use less water because of the drought. Switching from grass to artificial turf is becoming more common among homeowners. But Valley View News reporter Maria Cartaya says people have mixed opinions on whether this fake grass is such a good idea.
Green natural grass is starting to be replaced by artificial turf. Artificial turf or fake grass is becoming more popular since the drought in California. Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill that prevents cities from banning this turf. However, the Director of Communications in the city of Glendale, Tom Lawrence, says there are still restrictions on the use of artificial turf.
In Glendale, we allow turf, but it's only in their backyards or side setbacks. We have it on football fields, in our playgrounds, everywhere else. We only have one restriction, and that's you can't have it in your front setback. A lot of it had to do with aesthetics and the appearance of the property. Glendale's a beautiful community and would like to remain a beautiful community.
Even though more people are installing fake grass on their lawns, there are others who say that artificial turf is not the best solution.
Some of my neighbors have it. I don't really like it. I think it looks weird. I would rather have just brown grass or stone or something else than fake green grass. Plus, I'm not sure how it's made or where they make it from, so that's a big question.
Other alternatives are the use of drought-tolerant plants or natural stones. City officials in Glendale are still working on setting guidelines for installing artificial turf in front yards. As of right now, they recommend homeowners only use this fake grass on backyards like this one, at least until they make their final decision in the City Council meeting in December. In Glendale, Maria Cartaya, Valley View News.
A 4-year-old boy shot himself in a Kroger supermarket parking lot in Detroit. Reports say the boy found a 9mm handgun inside his parents' car while they were loading groceries in the trunk. Police say the child shot himself in the torso. A witness said it looked like the child was crying and talking as he was put into the ambulance.
People are complaining about a trash dump near a Huntington Beach elementary school. They say the odor is causing problems for children who go to school across the street from the dump. Valley View News reporter Serena Sandoval has the story.
Karen Avina says she has to deal with the smell that blows into her school from across the street.
Last time I went home, because I was throwing up, I smell it every day because it's like right across the street where I go to school.
Rainbow Environmental Services operates the dump stinking up Oakville Elementary in Huntington Beach.
Oakview School is a special place. It's really the heart of this community. The problem is it's 50 feet from an open garbage dump.
The school is suing to shut down the company that is sending dozens of kids home sick. Some people say dust from the dump is creating a whole set of other health issues.
There's concrete crushing going on over there. And you know, concrete is a carcinogen. Concrete has terrible chemicals in it that could cause cancer, that aggravates our students' asthma and bronchitis, and it's literally blowing. I can see it blowing right now.
The problem has been going on for years and is finally being addressed.
Our school district is behind us. They support getting this cleaned up so that we do not have to be so impacted by being 50 feet across the street from a dump.
Regulators slapped Rainbow for 4 violations, 2 for the odor alone.
I want them to put something that way the smell doesn't come to us.
Behind this green wall is a mountain of trash. When trying to reach Rainbow Services, they had no comment. But some say that it might take 2 years to get the smell under control. In Huntington Beach, Serena Sandoval, Valley View News.
Southern California is home to many mountain ranges, including one that's a national monument. Valley View News reporter Nick Popham reports critics say the monument isn't big enough.
The San Gabriel Mountains, a range that goes as far west as the 5 freeway at Newhall Pass to as far east as the 15 freeway in San Bernardino. Earlier last year, President Obama made the San Gabriels a national monument. This means that the Federal Parks Department would now preserve most of the land. But Mr. Obama left out half of the more than 600,000 acres that make up the range. As a result, Congresswoman Judy Chu presented a bill that will expand the borders to nearly all of the San Gabriel Mountains. Altadena, California resident Dwight Equitz says the monument needs to come farther west.
I don't know why you would stop somewhere, a few miles that way and not continue this direction. I don't see how this side of the mountains has any less value than that side.
Places like Altadena's Eaton Canyon provide Southern Californians with outdoor recreation that needs federal preservation. Things like rotting metal and pipes line the walls of the trails, making it dangerous for people wanting to explore the outdoors. Equitz went on to say people aren't the only ones that enjoy the area.
I mean, just a few hundred feet from where I'm standing right now, people see mountain lion and fox, and it's a very busy place.
The proposal would add thousands of new acres into the existing San Gabriel Mountains National Monument, meaning that the federal government would have to help preserve all this land in the San Gabriel Valley. In Altadena, Nick Popham, Valley View News.
Cal State Northridge students are celebrating Veterans Week, not just Veterans Day. Valley View News reporter Serena Sandoval reports from our Studio B.
Thank you. I'm sitting with Jimmy Guevara, president of the Sigma Tau Alpha, which is a co-ed veteran fraternity. So my first question is, how is the fraternity involved with the Veterans Center?
It's involved by having a neutral space for veterans to come together and having being able to kind of give us resources and able to talk about healthcare, assist the healthcare and the veteran community, as well as other resources like educational resources, where to go to just in case we're having any type of anxiety, and they provide us with all that resources for us to go and get help to be successful in academia.
Now, is this only open to the public, or only open to students, or?
No, it's open to the public. It's actually for the veteran community in general. So you don't necessarily have to be a veteran to be able to go into the Veterans Resource Center and ask questions. A lot of civilians are connected by either being a dependent or having a friend or a sister or brother or even a mom, sometimes a dad that served in the military, and they come in and ask questions, and they're open to come in and actually use the center as well, just like the veterans are as well.
And can you explain what's going on during Veterans Week here at CSUN?
Veterans Week, we took it as with the Veterans Resource Center. They asked us, they gave us a day, and we took it another step forward. Instead of just having one day of understanding of what Veterans Day is really about, we all extended it to a week. And with collaboration with the fraternity and the Veterans Resource Center, they allowed us to give us a day, an opportunity to express what the veteran community does through spoken word or or other means. Like right today, like Monday is 22 too many, which is 22 veterans that die every day, and so we try to make an awareness of that through suicide prevention, and as well like then Tuesdays is more of and it leads up to all the way to Thursday, where it's kind of actually take up a Friday to where it leads up to more of a celebratory of Veterans Day. So instead of just being awareness, education, Tuesday we're gonna have at the Oviet at a Latino veteran perspective as well. Wednesday is more a volunteer for the Veterans Day Parade on the San Fernando Valley. Thursday is more of a big celebratory barbecue, like not barbecue setup, kind of like how we have in the military. It's a very big, like. And then Friday with the SVO, which is a student veteran organization on campus, they set up their own events for that day as well for veterans and anybody that's willing and wants to come to their event as well. So, and then on Sunday we have volunteers that place flags on the lawn. We have 661 veterans on campus, so each flag represents a veteran on campus.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That's all the time we have for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you in the studio.
When we come back, Russian athletes may be banned from next summer's Olympics. Reggie Bush will reportedly sue the city of St. Louis after a knee injury.
And find out why the University of Illinois fired its athletic director. And here's Noemi Barajas with the latest in sports. So Russian track and field athletes might be banned from the 2016 Olympics?
That's right, Sarah. International investigators are recommending that Russian athletes be banned from next summer's Olympics. A commission of the World Anti-Doping Agency detailed how Russian athletes were allegedly tipped off about upcoming drug tests that violates rules that tests must be unannounced. Investigators allege the Russian government helped athletes avoid the tests. The report was based on a 10-month investigation. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Greg Hardy is being criticized for playing during their last game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Photos had just been released showing injuries Hardy allegedly inflicted on his ex-girlfriend. The photos show Nicole Holder's bruised back and neck. Hardy was arrested and charged last year with attacking Holder. The charges were dismissed after she failed to appear at the jury trial. Hardy refused to speak to the media about the photos. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has yet to publicly respond to the pictures. The University of Illinois has fired its athletic director for allegedly mistreating football players and women's basketball players. A report found no wrongdoing by Mike Thomas, but he was fired without any public explanation. Thomas will be paid $2.5 million to buy out his contract. Bill Cubitt continues to lead the football team as an interim coach. San Francisco 49ers running back Reggie Bush plans to sue the city of St. Louis. Bush injured his knee when he slipped on concrete near the edge of the players' bench. Bush had been slowing down after a punt return when he fell and slid into a wall. NFL officials say Bush will be out for the rest of the season. Some say it could be a career-ending injury. The league says it's working with St. Louis management to reconstruct the concrete that apparently tripped up Bush. Denver Broncos cornerback Aqib Talib has been suspended for 1 game. The NFL suspended Talib for unnecessary roughness late in the fourth quarter of the game against the Indianapolis Colts. Talib pulled Colts tight end Dwayne Allen in the right eye. Talib says he didn't do it on purpose, but says the NFL has a right to discipline him. Allen thought it was an intentional act. Talib says he regrets his heat-of-the-moment decision because he let it get out of hand. Broncos coach Gary Kubiak told ESPN he spoke with Talib and says he is convinced it was an accident. The Broncos ended up losing 24-27. That's all we have for sports. That could be an interesting lawsuit Reggie Bush has filed. Now back to you.
Thanks, Noemi. When we come back, Donald Trump has given Saturday Night Live a rating boost. John Lennon's guitar was sold for $2.4 million at an auction.
And find out what Gwen Stefani's soon-to-be ex-husband is saying about her new relationship with Blake Shelton. And here's Ashton Smith with the latest in entertainment. Ashton, who's among Time Magazine's most influential teens?
Well, Nick, Time Magazine has listed President Obama's daughter, Malia, as one of the most influential teens in the nation. 19-year-old Nickelodeon star Zendaya Coleman was also listed, so is the Hunger Games star Amanda Stenberg. Donald Trump hosted Saturday Night Live and earned the show its highest ratings in the last 3 years. NBC says more viewers watched the Republican presidential candidate than watched the show's season premiere. The actual number of SNL viewers will be available later, but experts say Trump's episode could have drawn 10 million viewers. This was the second time Trump hosted the late-night series. His first appearance was in 2004. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton have finally gone public as a couple. Stefani's ex, Gavin Rossdale, is allegedly suspicious of the timing of their relationship. A source close to the ex-couple says Rossdale feared the Voice judges may have become more than friends during his marriage with Stefani. Shelton filed for divorce from Miranda Lambert on July 20th. Stefani split from Rossdale less than a month later. Rossdale says the two kept their affair a secret due to fear of escalated court disputes at the time of the divorce. One of the most famous guitars in rock and roll history has been sold at auction for $2.4 million. It was the guitar John Lennon used for the Beatles' hit songs Love Me Do and I Want to Hold Your Hand. It was also the most expensive rock and roll item ever sold. The guitar was auctioned at Julian's Live auction block. The buyer remained anonymous. The guitar had been reported stolen in the late 1960s and was recovered 40 years later. That's it for entertainment. One guitar, nearly $2.5 million.
$2.5 million. Wish I had the money for that. Well, thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Nick Popham.
And I'm Sarah Vong. Have a great day.